Today on Seeing This.
Powerful stuff, to say the least. I'm beyond mad. Honestly, it's just insane, the things that are happening. And I think the Voice of Hind Rajab and Ben Hania does a great job of intermixing a retelling of the events of Hind Rajab while also incorporating the actual voice, the actual phone call to Red Crescent, and it's so in your face in the sense of visually we see like the name of the audio file and like the sound waves of her voice, and it's just so impactful. Welcome to Seeing This, the weekly movie podcast where we talk new releases, revisit our favorite film anniversaries, and chat with filmmakers who bring movies to life. I'm the movie mamba, Mike Ornelas, and how lucky we should all feel just to go to the sand and play in the sea. Joining me on the podcast is the Feisty Pisces, Erica McMullen.
Tax-paying dollars right there.
And also on the pod is the Gerber baby-faced assassin, Adrian Cedeno.
One phone call away my ass.
And that's all in reference to today's movie, The Voice of Hind Rajab. Very powerful film, a lot to talk about, a lot to dissect. But if you haven't already followed us across all of our socials, follow us at Seeing This Pod. Also, you can check out all of our episodes, interviews at seeingthispod.com. And we've got some merch to kick you into the new year. Hope everyone had a great holiday season. Got to unwrap the tamales and Christmas gifts. But before we get to our movie, a lot of holiday watches, I'm sure. I feel like that's probably the busiest, most universal time to watch movies is Christmas.
Yeah.
So, Adrian, why don't you kick us off today for what you've seen this week?
I actually have had a lot of time to watch movies and catch people up to date with some movies. One big one was I saw Dave Chappelle's Unstoppable ... But there's more to
it. Sure.
It was really good. I appreciated it. I thought it was funny. Definitely unique to what's going on now, to Dave Chappelle. It was funny. And then Anaconda, with the new one coming out. We saw the old original, and me and my boys, I sat there and was telling them, like, this is so terrible that it's great. And I said, they were like, what do you mean? And I said, well, I hope the new one is a comedy because it's Jack Black and Paul Rudd. Mm-hmm. I said, because this one was meant to be like sci-fi, dramatic, like a thriller. And then 5 minutes into it, they just saw like, we were cracking up, we were laughing, like, oh, I see. Ice Cube's just in Chucks and he wears the same thing in everything he plays.
He's playing himself.
Everywhere he goes.
Exactly.
So it was good. It was fun.
No, it's definitely going to be a comedy. I think it's got a lot of like Be Kind, Rewind energy, or like Tropic Thunder kind of energy from everything I've seen. I've been listening to their press tour, doing interviews, and like they're just enjoyable to like listen to as comedians.
Didn't Jack Black do a similar movie about King Kong? Where like
Kong Skull Island.
To make a movie about no Jack Black.
No. Yeah, he's in Kong Skull Island.
No, he's not.
God damn it, Erica. Well, what are you talking about while I look it up?
I thought he had made a movie, a King Kong movie, where it's like the same concept. Like he's wanting to make a King Kong movie.
Oh, okay. My bad. He's in the movie King Kong, directed by Peter Jackson, but I don't think it's necessarily like...
It's not that along that lines. I don't know. I think it's just it's just going to be so weird.
If he's in it, you know what kind of energy you're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say Jack Black because that's one of the movies I watched for Christmas was Dear Santa, but it's the letter is addressed Dear Satan, and so he plays Satan in the movie. And there's like two little plot twists at the end that were kind of funny. But yeah, when you watch a Jack Black movie, you know exactly what you're getting.
For sure, for sure. I had also seen Dave Chappelle Unstoppable over the. I mean, I'll get you what you've seen this week, Erica. But just to comment on that, not my favorite special of his. I think ever since he's kind of shifted into knowing he's the greatest and knowing he's the shit. And since he's come with that energy, I don't find him as funny. But with that said, he's my favorite comedian. So I get it. I mean, I'm not surprised you're a big fan. It's very topical in that way. Erica, what have you seen this week?
So like I said, Dear Santa, we watched last Christmas. That's the one with Amelia Clark, and like all of Wham's songs are incorporated into that. And that one, oh my god, that one made me cry. I was like, what the fuck? I was not expecting to be like a tearjerker. And then I watched Godzilla King of Monsters because that just like popped up and was like, do you want to watch this? I was like, yeah, sure. Of course I do. So
What's that streaming on?
HBO Max, I believe.
Okay.
I know, I gotta give you my login. I keep forgetting.
All good. I don't know if I ever saw that one. Millie Bobby Brown. Yeah, I didn't see that one. Is it good? You enjoyed it?
Probably one of the better ones of the franchise.
Wow.
But I mean, I like personally, like I like Skull Island the best just because I thought it was just like really creative and fun. But King of Monsters, this is the second one of the series. And you get all the monsters. So it's like super fun, like watching all of like the big monster fights and everything.
The Super Smash Brothers of Godzilla.
Well, yeah, because it's not so like Godzilla -1 is more like traditionally how Godzilla should have been, which is like a horror. It's a monster movie, like this monster is terrorizing the city kind of thing. It's gotten very far away from it with this like other series where it's just like a bunch of monsters fighting each other, which is fun because you know that there were monster movies like that. But I'd say King of Monsters is probably the better of all of the Godzilla ones that have come out. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of -1. I think that's my favorite because it takes it in the cultural context and like history of Japan
Oh
and
yeah,
like
and
World War
like
II.
yeah, when it's happening, what's going on, why everything's going on.
Very
I
human.
watched I watched that on the way back from Ireland to Canada and didn't realize like that I was gonna like I cried during that film, like the very end, like
Sure.
just like the reunion and everything that goes on with the people that are in it, like I was bawling so I was like on the flight, like crying my eyes out, like trying to like make sure no one could like really look at me because I'm just watching a movie. You don't need to check on me. But I was like streaming down my face. And I just like had to get up to go use the restroom so I could like fix myself up. But I know the guy next to me was like, what the
What
fuck
is happening?
like,
Yeah.
Why?
There's a moment in that movie that's very much like when Harrison Ford shows up in the Millennium Falcon at the end of A New Hope. It's got that kind of energy and towards
Yeah.
the end of Godzilla -1, and that gets me every time.
Yeah.
What I've seen this week, I've been busy as well, catching up on some movies here that came out this year. I'm happy to report that I have seen 127 movies from 2025. We had to get them all knocked out to vote for the Portland Critics Association Awards. So I had a couple blind spots still. And I'll be coming out with the top 25 of 25 here in the new year. But a couple that I watched, one was Joachim Trier's Sentimental Value. That's with Stellan Skarsgård, my girl Renate Reinsve, who I'll say my stock has definitely gone up after this movie, and Elle Fanning. It's got a lot of like, for people that might have seen Jay Kelly on Netflix, it's a similar kind of story, but it's a great comparison of what like a Netflix movie is versus something that's a little bit more prestige and lived in. And I thought it was great. It's a movie that I really enjoyed. It's a little slower. I don't know if necessarily, Agent, it'd be your speed. You know, we're not doing it as a main episode, but the acting's fantastic. I thought everyone involved did a really good job. And then I also watched a movie called Surat. which came out of Spain. This man and his son are looking for the guy's daughter at a rave in the desert of Morocco. Yeah. And the music and sound design is great. Like, Erica,
I was
I
like,
think
that's one that's probably like amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you would dig, like, just if you watch this movie, put on the loudest speakers you have, get some little rave fingertips, dance along with the movie. But as far as like the plot and what happens, it's all over the place. And it's one of those movies where it's like, maybe that's intentional because they say people live this way. It was a decent movie. I just, where it went was so unexpected and random. But again, maybe that's the point. And then a couple classics for Christmas. I watched the original Michael Keaton Batman. Jack Nicholson is just so goddamn good in that movie. Every time I watch it, he's on screen maybe 20 minutes of the whole movie, but fucking steals the show. And then Batman Returns, a proper Christmas movie. Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, Danny DeVito as the Penguin. You don't think so? Not a Christmas movie, Erica?
No, I'm not rolling my eyes because I do believe that one is a Christmas movie, but we've just been having like very vehement discussions about like what actually qualifies for a Christmas movie.
Like American Psycho.
And what what are the standards? Like, it has to be filmed like during Christmas?
Well, like,
is it relate around
so
Christmas?
Like he just said American Psycho, right? And is that just because that there's a Christmas party that they go to?
Right.
Because the whole movie doesn't revolve around the Christmas party that's happening.
Okay, what about Die Hard?
You know what I mean? So it's like, is that really a Christmas movie? No. Whereas like Die Hard, right? It takes place surrounding a Christmas party. Like they're at the Christmas party when things start to happen. It's not a very good Christmas movie, but it's more of a Christmas movie than American Psycho.
Wow, what a debate. I mean, I know like the general consensus is like, yes, Die Hard's a Christmas movie, but I would say it's as much as American Psycho, Eyes Wide Shut, Phantom Thread, like movies that take place in Christmas, but somehow it also captures like the environment and vibe of the holiday season, in my opinion. Now, is it a movie about Christmas, like the Hall of Fame Jingle All the Way? Maybe not, but Batman Returns, it has that Christmas energy because it's wintry. They light up the tree, all the things. So yeah, that's what we've seen this week. Let's get into our main review.
Have you seen this?
Have you seen this?
Have you seen this?
I know, I've seen this. I know this.
I think this one is going to be a little difficult. The Voice of Hind Rajab, I got to see out at TIFF. Very powerful movie, very important movie, but very difficult movie to watch. I wanted to run it by you guys. I want to do a little differently. I know usually we do like a spoiler-free talk and then we go into spoilers, but I feel it doesn't feel right to like be like, okay, spoilers, and then I do our spoiler alarm. And I think ultimately, whether you've seen this movie or not, it is a factual event that took place, and I think everyone should know about it. You know, even if you don't end up seeing the movie, though I highly recommend you do. We'll get to that. So with that, we'll talk freely about the movie. We'll still give our general thoughts, and then dive in a little bit more into specifics. But Erica, we'll start with you. What did you think of The Voice of Hind Rajab?
Fuck. It's obviously like so upsetting to hear it, right? It's so we're listening to these recordings of the actual 911 calls, and it's just so devastating, to know that unfortunately we're a part of that. Like, as Americans, we are a part of what is happening in Gaza and funding Israel. And it was hard. It's a hard film to swallow. But like you said, I think it is very necessary for people to understand that, like, this is what's going on. This is what's been going on for a very long time, unfortunately. Right. We have to do something about it. We can't keep sitting by. We have to keep speaking about it. We have to keep doing things to keep this in the light because it's still happening.
100%. And I think, when we do our opening lines initially, I had something saying, if you can justify killing innocent children, then you can go fuck yourself, right? Because people be like, oh, well, the hostages the attacks on October 7th and all these various things, but this has been happening long before October 7th, and it's clearly systematic. And I think this movie, that's a big theme in it as well, is like the systems in place that allow this to happen. But Adrian, what are your initial thoughts on The Voice of Hind Rajab? You got to see this at a screening, correct?
I did. So me and my wife went to a screening. I don't even know how to pronounce this theater, Limely. But it's a string of like smaller theaters that do a lot more independent type movies. Which one of them is here local to me in Claremont. But we went to the one in Santa Monica. Actually, it was West LA on Santa Monica Boulevard. Real cool little spot. It was a packed house. They were gonna do a Q&A with the director and the producer after. So it was definitely a packed house with Arab. It was filled with Arab patrons. I don't know what would they be,
people of Arab background.
No, like moviegoers, like they came to watch it, like movie patrons, right?
They're Arabic,
but they just happen to
came
be
from
Arabic,
an Arabic background. Yeah, sure.
So it was super cool to be in that environment with all of them. I'm telling you that they packed the theater in, and seeing my wife's reaction to it compared to mine, she didn't have quite as much emotion as I did. Maybe because of the reading part, and because I hyped it up so much, like, hey, just so you know, like the movie we're gonna go watch isn't just, like our typical movie that we go date night.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little different.
Right.
So she was anticipating like it being a little more heavy than it was.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting because
maybe more graphic. She might have thought.
Definitely. She thought it was going to be more like a visual, seeing this little girl, and not so much just hearing
versus
her.
The audio.
And
right.
I think what got me was more the audio and having it like, this could be my daughter, like no problem. Like I kept sitting there, like as soon as he puts up like the plus 60 plus however, like we could have been there in 8 minutes. Like all I kept thinking was like, dude, I'll go get her. And then I'm like on my phone in the middle of the theater looking up like, how far are they from Gaza to where, they would have been? And I'm like,
same.
Man, that's like a few thousand miles away. Like this is far.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we didn't open. Sorry, Adrian, we didn't open with your letterbox reading, but just really quickly, I'll just say this is directed by Kathur Ben Hania.
I got it right here on deck, ready to go.
Okay, go ahead. Read the description.
January 29, 2024. Red Crescent volunteers receive an emergency call. A 5-year-old girl is trapped in a car under fire in Gaza, pleading for rescue. While trying to keep her on the line, they do everything they can to get an ambulance to her. Her name was Hind Rajab.
Yeah. I saw this out in TIFF originally, and same idea, packed house. I think I might have talked about it a little during our TIFF recap episode. The mayor of Toronto was there, and after the movie ended, I've never been in a theater experience, and maybe it was the same for you, Adrian, where like it was just still, like everyone kind of like processing and absorbing what they just witnessed, right? Because of like how real in fact it is, right? And with the mayor of Toronto in attendance, there was a woman that was yelling at her saying shame on her for essentially funding I believe she said funding something around like the IDF police force, because the Toronto Police Department does like training with the IDF, something along those lines. I could be wrong, but there was definitely a protest and people started booing the mayor after, and like she got really in her face, and like there's a lot of tension and there's a lot of anger after this movie. Like I rewatched it here at home, and afterwards, like the first time I was very like sad and upset, but on a second viewing, I was just angry. Like it's so much bullshit taking place. And the fact that there's so many people that try to wiggle their way around justifying it is just, how do we live in this world? You know what I mean? And with the year that we've had, or the past several years, realistically, as Americans, you know, we often say, you know, what will the end times look like? Is this as bad as it gets? But, you know, yeah, Erica, you're pointing to right now. But to my point, it's like, for some people in the world, they have been living through what you would consider the end times, and the people of Palestine are enduring, you know, and unfortunately, to like what you said, Erica, we're contributing as American taxpayers to that, which is incredibly disgusting. But I still do have a special guest I want to bring on that kind of expresses my thoughts around the film, the times we're living in. And, you know, even though this movie came out in 1976, it's incredibly relevant. And my special guest is Max Schumacher, played by William Holden from the movie Network. Highly recommend people to check out this movie, but let me bring him on to share my thoughts.
Things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Powerful stuff, to say the least. I'm beyond mad. Honestly, it's just insane, the things that are happening. And I think the Voice of Hind Rajab and Ben Hania does a great job of intermixing a retelling of the events of Hind Rajab, while also incorporating the actual voice, the actual phone call to Red Crescent, you know. And it's so in your face in the sense of, visually we see like the name of the audio file and like the sound waves of her voice, and it's just so impactful.
I really appreciated, there was times in the film where they did this kind of like layering, where in the background you do see the actors who are acting out the scene, but then on top of that, through the phone, you're seeing the actual recording of what was happening that day. First of all, the casting is immaculate. It's so good. Like, everybody did so well. But that layering for me was when I kind of like lost it the most, where I was just like you said, you get so angry, and I'm an angry crier. Like, if I'm raging, like everything is out the surface. Like, for me, there's like no reserve. And like every time you would hear her say, come get me, and then to see, you know, the people on the other end giving the responses and like trying their hardest to comfort this poor child, this preschool child who is surrounded by the dead bodies of her entire family. She knows they're dead, and she's just trying to survive. It's devastating.
The worst part is that they were using her. Like, there's a point in the movie where he even says, like, I'm going to send all these people out to go save her, and these people have kids too. And look they're all the ones that have died. Like, they're
He has like a wall of pictures of other
he even
rescuers.
says, like, you don't think that they have like infrared technology on these tanks? Like, they probably are listening to her call you guys right now. And then to find out the second he finally gives in and sends the ambulance that, yeah, they're just waiting for him to pull up, and then boom, they're like,
Yeah.
they're not,
He
they're targeting
he
innocent
was
people.
in
They're targeting the help. They're targeting, the doctors.
Yeah.
They're using women and children to target everybody that's trying to help them,
And he was in such a tough spot, right?
Yeah.
Because he knew, like you said, he showed all of the pictures of all of the people who had tried to go through that area who did not make it, and to have to sit there, and then they thought she was dead at one point, so it was like, what? We can't send it. What is the point of sending it?
Yeah.
And then it was this back and forth, this like it was a very, very, very emotional roller coaster throughout the entire film.
You guys are referring to Mahdi, who is kind of like the supervisor who is relying on the system in which they need to reach out to the Red Cross. The Red Cross then reaches out to another organization that then reaches out to the Israeli army to get an approved safe route, to get essentially the route made. And then that's got to go back. And they do a great job of like visualizing this kind of like infinity loop of the process, and why, even though she's only 8 minutes away or 7 minutes away, whatever it is, the time to get it all coordinated is intentional because of the system that's in place by the oppressor. You know what I mean? And I think this time watching, it's just so blatantly clear that systems are fucked. You know what I mean? And oftentimes the response is, oh, well, that's how it is, or this is our job,
Yeah.
or I'm just following orders. You know what I mean?
That was fans at Nuremberg, by the way.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and it's like it and I think that's the great thing is they had each character, which, again, obviously this is based on a real event. I'm sure they made some small adjustments for the cinematic aspect of it, but each character kind of represents, there's like 4 main characters outside of Hind's voice that kind of represent the different frustrations and the different levels. You know what I mean? Like you have Omar, who's the one that first gets the call. You have his supervisor, Rana, who was getting ready to leave. And I love that little subtle like aspect. She's like, I'm done for the day, gets her coat, she's getting ready to leave. And then this call comes in, and like she kind of takes on this like helpless maternal aspect. And Omar's like angry, like, what do you mean we can't fucking go get her? Like, she's right fucking there. And I, to Adrian, your point, you're talking about how like there's this like glass wall that you can write,
It's his
with
office.
marker
It's
on,
like his
and
windows, his
it's
walls.
the office, right. And it's like 8 minutes. How far is she from us? 8 minutes. An hour goes by, plus 60. 2 hours go by, plus 120. And all this time they're trying to coordinate this
He's
route.
like, we've been on the
And
phone with her
just
for 120 minutes. This time, like, we were on the phone with her an hour, 60 minutes before that. Like, we could have saved her 12 times by now, and I can understand that frustration. But at the same time, like I said, when you realize they're just using them as bait to pick off one by one all these ambulances, all these helpers, all these men coming to help, they're just trying to pick them off one by one.
Which, don't get it confused, those are war crimes.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
Yeah, right.
those are like it's
But
just
that's a part of it too.
I don't know.
War is war, and
Yeah.
we have some ideology that war is going to be fair, that it's going to follow some kind of laws and some kind of justness, and it doesn't. It's war, and that's why it's cruel. That's why it's unhumane. Like, this is stuff that doesn't need to happen, but it's going to be happening, and I don't pretend to know which side is wrong or right or the other, because it seems like whenever something like conflict like this, it's because of both sides. It's not just one side's right and the other's wrong. There's always both.
I don't think
faults
it's just not it's not binary like that, right? Like, I mean, we've talked about a few other movies about, like, who's a villain, who's a hero, who's a whatever. People are complex, situations are complex. But to my point earlier, there's no right in killing innocent people. There's no right in killing innocent children, especially in this fashion. You know what I mean? So if someone is carrying out these operations, like you said, entrapping them to lure them to kill more people, to kill doctors, nurses, medics, whatever, bombing schools, doing all these things, there's no right in that. You know what I mean? Are there things both sides have done, quote unquote, wrong? I mean, killing is wrong in general. A war is
It's
wrong.
this whole
So
superiority, like somebody is superior than the next person. Like, this is my land, not your land. Why? Because I'm superior to it and I called it first. Like, there's no, it's pointless. We should all be able to just coexist and be cool. Like, you want that piece of land? Cool. You got it first. Dibs. No problem. Like,
I have a question for you guys to get a little philosophical about it real quick, just because I found myself thinking about this because, well, I'll get to that part. But Adrian, you don't have to get into too much detail, but you're a churchgoer. Your family are God-fearing people to an extent. Erica, I think you've had maybe an on and off relationship, as I have as well. There's a part in this movie where Rana is telling Hind to, like, recite a prayer with her
from the Quran.
and that you'll be, that God will protect you, and this and that, this and that. Did watching this at all make you reflect on your own beliefs, like on a spiritual level? Did that come into your mind at all, or were you just focused more specifically on the story at hand?
I don't know. I think for me, like, I'm not, it's not necessarily that I don't believe in God. I really just cannot align myself with any kind of structured religion. I think that's a con. Um, Especially when you see people who are, claiming that they have Christian beliefs and the way that they're acting. I'm like, girl, I've read the Bible. Jesus would never do that. So,
Right.
um, I don't necessarily think that it meant a lot to me, like, spiritually, but I know that, like, in those moments, like, to feel like that connection and to, like, feel comforted by whatever you believe, um, I think that was, like, very smart of her to recite with him, because in that moment, I mean, you hear all of the phone calls on how terrified she is the entire time. All she wants is for somebody to come and get her. That's all she's asking is, "Please, someone come and get me." So, in her mind too, as she's around these dead bodies, it's like sometimes the only thing you can turn to is what you believe in, and to try to make peace with whatever you've got going on. I want to say I'm probably a little bit more spiritual in that sense, where, like, I need to be square with, like, the earth and the people around me, and to be spreading joy and to be doing good things and good deeds. It's not to say that that's not the Christian way too. I just think a lot of those things intertwine with each other. And so it meant a lot to me for her to recite that with her.
Interesting.
Because in those moments, like I said, you kind of need, that, I mean, if that's what you believe in, like, it really does help.
A comfort, yeah.
Mhm.
What do you think, Adrian?
I appreciated it. I remember thinking, like, sitting there, like, oh, great. Like, I really appreciate that she leaned into their beliefs. Not that it's right or wrong. Like, it's different than what they would say Christianity is, Catholicism. Like, they can believe differently, call things differently. But I can appreciate that you believe in something bigger than yourself. I can appreciate that, whether you call it universe, God, Jesus, whatever it is, like, that you're in those moments that you can be just like everybody else and lean on that. No matter what it was, I appreciated it because I was like, okay, we are similar. Like, we do feel the same, regardless of whether a religion is different. Like Erica says, like, religion is the spread of evil, but I think everybody should have a belief. You know, people don't kill over beliefs; people kill over religion. So on that sense, I really appreciated seeing their religion, their belief system come out and come through.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think to your points, like for her in that moment, it must have felt comforting. I think for me as an observer, knowing what happens, you know, I have a really hard time wrapping my mind around a God that allows these things to happen. And maybe he does exist, you know, and
And
maybe that's the fact of the
I'll
matter,
pause you
but
there, Michael, because if you really read the Bible and know what God does
oh,
do,
for sure.
it's
Yeah, right.
very believable. Yeah.
No, 100%. And I think that, but that's kind of my point is like people put so much energy and yes, faith into this God without, and like heaven forbid you say anything negative about God. You know, I mean, you can't take his name in vain, all the things, but it's like the God that is presented to us is not fair, is not just, you know, and this is coming from someone that was a hardcore, I've talked about it a couple of times, a hardcore
Mm.
Pentecostal Christian. Like I led the youth sermons at one time and went on the winter camps and all the shit. And let me tell you, people in the church are freaky as hell, but that's a side subject. They're big sinners in themselves. But I think having been through that experience, something that pulled me away from it would be people that were born with disabilities or don't have the mental capacity to fully function. And it's like the justification would be like, oh, well, God puts people through these trials so then you appreciate what you had. And I'm like, that's bullshit. You know, like what makes me better than them or whatever the case is. So I was just curious because I found myself just really upset, you know, in that regard. That and that's the thing too, is like, this is, you know, what, maybe a 3 to 5 hour period of one event, one person, one Palestinian girl, when they're in an office full of operators taking calls across days, weeks, years, different parts of the country. Like, it's just absolutely insane to me. And just really quick, if I pull up a article that I was looking at, as of this report is from December 23rd, Gaza death toll climbs to 70,942, with 171,195 wounded since October 2023. That is insane as far as the number count, and for this to continue to go on. And
And
there,
that's what's so, I mean, obviously it's like frustrating, like with the media and how it has disappeared from certain media outlets like completely. But that's just from October of 2023.
right.
And this issue has been going on for decades,
And
essentially.
that's not even counting people that are trapped under the rubble that they may never
Mhm.
find. And that's not counting these Red Crescent people, family members, the collateral damage emotionally, psychologically
Well, like
that
full
have infected them.
bloodline. Yeah, full
100%
bloodlines
wiped
don't
out.
exist anymore. Yeah.
Wiped
So
out
a part of
100%. So
like I think I texted you guys right after watching the movie. I was frustrated with the moderator that was giving the Q&A because he was visibly like choked up, like he couldn't compose his questions. Like he was so distraught from the movie that as soon as it was done, he was just like, I can't form a thought, and he couldn't really ask her questions. Like he was kind of bumbling around. But one of the like at one of the points, the director had came out and was just like, you know, if it upsets you so much, then do something about it. I hope this makes somebody do something. And all I kept thinking in my head was, please ask her. Okay, like a follow-up question. Like, well, what can people do? What are some ways people can get active? How can we help? What can be done from a theater standpoint? Like, we're sitting in a theater watching this. What can anybody in here do? Like, why is everybody upset
Be a
when
better
nobody's in a, like, you guys can't do anything. You guys can't help. But
what was that, Erica?
he didn't ask that.
Just don't pay your federal taxes this year.
I mean, tell me about it. Like,
No
I
taxation without representation, and that's what that fucking means. They are not representing what our people want. It's like a whopping like 74% of Americans do not agree with us giving money to Israel.
right, right.
That's more than the majority. That's more votes than you get in your fucking elections.
I think to your follow-up question that you wanted, yeah, I've read some of her interviews, and like for her, I think it's individual, right? Like for her, she's a filmmaker, so I can make a film on this.
Bring
right?
light.
For us, we're talking about this movie, and Adrian, you saw Palestine 36 earlier in the year, and I think even just taking the time to gain awareness and understanding and education on the situation, so then when you're with friends and family or whatever, you can talk about it in a way that is digestible, accessible, literate. So then it's not just something you scroll past on your fucking social feed. You know what I mean? And to be active on, social media, like for Christmas, I had to do a friendly reminder post that like Jesus was Palestinian, like
I thought Jesus was
it's
Jewish.
what it is. Okay. So, well, here we go. Here we go. Palestine is a place. Jewish is a religion.
Yes. So how is Jewish a
nonetheless,
race then? Like I got questions about this because this stuff confuses me all the time, and this is a part of me trying to learn and educate myself and try to figure out like, okay, when they're talking about all these struggles, and like you said, I saw Palestine 36, and some of it's about, well, it was British occupied, and they brought the Jewish community in. They were like, wait a minute, we're fighting with our own people for this land, and you're throwing a third party in there saying that it's their land. And
so essentially what happened was that all of these Jewish people were displaced by the war, World War
which
II.
is a religion, not a race.
Correct. It's not strictly a race. It's a mix of ethnicities and culture.
Yeah.
It's a blend of things.
Correct. So essentially what ended up happening is Great Britain was like, well, we can put you over here and put them in Palestine and put them in this place and said, here, just move into this region.
So they put like the Christians in the U in like America.
Rebuilding and
they put like the Christians in America, and then they put them like in the Jewish in Israel, right?
No, hold up.
Is that what's happening?
It's very critical that this happened during World War II, the genocide itself and the Holocaust, right? And the Holocaust being Jews that were targeted, that have now been spread out because of this targeting. The British were like, okay, these Jewish people need a place.
Where can we put you? Yeah.
Oh, I know. How about Palestine? You know what I mean? And since then, with the backing and support of Europe, America, so on, they have this land to settle on, even though people were already there. Sound familiar to the American Manifest?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What I mean? Like same idea, right? And languages get lost, culture get lost.
That's why when people are like so surprised that like the United States is funding money to Israel and this genocide is happening, it's like our entire country is built on genocide. Our entire
100%.
country was built on the genocide of indigenous people. So if you think our government cares about that, they don't. They don't care about the American people. They don't care about where our money is going as long as they're at the top and in power.
And just to say, I think the most important thing we can do is educate ourselves, right? And it can come from any kind of inspiration. I mean, I rewatched One Battle After Another for the 4th time. And when Leo's in the school and he's like, oh, the Philippines, I hope you're teaching about the Philippines. I wasn't aware of what happened, so I looked it up. Yeah. You look it up and you see what the fuck was going on there. And it's like, these are crimes committed by people that we consider our founding fathers.
Taiwan, Korea, like
100%. So like this is something that's been happening through history, and we're just living through this chapter. And we have tools that can create a film, can capture audio, that can provide that spread of awareness so people understand what's happening, and hopefully hopefully there can be some kind of intervention to stop it, because we're evolved past this as a human race, or at least we should be, that we should live together, that we should have compassion, that we shouldn't judge people because of their beliefs, sexual orientation. Fucking live and let live. You know what I mean?
Like, who cares as long as you're not harming somebody, right?
Correct.
Like,
Correct. Like we're far beyond like, oh, we need to expand our land. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what are we even talking about? All that to say that this movie definitely stirs something in you. I think it's incredibly important, incredibly powerful, and it is very difficult to watch. I'm very intrigued to see how it's received. It did, like you said, Adrian, it did have a screening there in LA, and I think in New York as well. And I think coming up in the new year, it's going to have a little bit more of a wider release. There's a lot of executive producers like Joaquin Phoenix that signed on to hopefully get more funding for a wider release, things of this nature. So when you see it come across your theater, your local theater, definitely check it out. Let's quickly go to our Commodus Scale. I'd like to hope I know what it is, but nonetheless, Adrian, thumbs up, even or
Thumbs
down?
up, guys. Thumbs up. Definitely a good, well done, well made movie. Blurred the lines between like a dramatization and an actual like real life
Documentary.
event. Yeah. So I dug it in that sense, and like Erica had said, the layering when they're using their phones and you see the actual footage and it's just kind of them blurred in the backgrounds, the actors and actresses, like that was like perfect for me. Cinematically, like
Powerful,
that was it. Like, okay, cool, they brought it all together. Like, we see everybody.
Yeah.
No need to put it all at the end in the credits. Like, that was perfect.
Right. Though that ending as well is very powerful, where you see Hind's mother, who they had a call, and the director, you know, in interviews has said, like, the first thing we did was talk to the mother,
make sure
because if we don't get her, if we don't get her sign off, like, we can't make this movie. And we see the mother talk about, you know, her daughter, and we see the car just fucking annihilated, just insane.
And the paramedics, the ambulance.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like,
it's
a
insane.
cannonball just ripped through it.
Multiple. Erica, thumbs up, even or down?
Yeah, definitely a thumbs up. I highly recommend to go see this movie. Have your heart open to be able to receive this, you know, to understand that this is currently happening. This is currently what's going on.
And remember the supposed ceasefire that has taken place, which is
non-existent.
not being
I think that was a
means.
part of like the last scene, you know, when they're like, hey, we got a green light, we got a route, go. And then they're blowing it up. Like, well, they told us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they said they were in a ceasefire.
Right. The fact that it's all dependent on the coordination of the oppressor Israeli army just says it all right there.
Yeah.
Thumbs up for sure. Obviously, thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys checking this out. I know, like, we talk about, like, we covered a lot of international movies, and I know that's probably coming from my lead, but I appreciate you guys opening your hearts, as you said, Erica, and hopefully it's been beneficial. You know, Adrian, you've kind of commented in the past that, like, it's kind of opened you to kind of perspective of lifestyles and things like that, and how well a film out of, you know, Taiwan, Korea, the Middle East, wherever the case is, their stories are just as poignant and important. So thumbs up for sure. Double feature recommendations. If you want to stay heavy, I was really thinking it's like we could double down if you want to just really continue down the road of education, or if you need a break or whatever. But I'm curious, Erica, what would you recommend?
I know you saw mine, and it was just like this bitch. Well,
no,
okay,
go ahead.
I'll be honest. I really thought of pairing this with V for Vendetta just to kind of show people kind of where we're at now. Like, that's happening. All of that is currently happening. I don't care if you think it's fiction. Like, there are events that coincide with the things that happen in that movie and in the graphic novel. But I thought, That's maybe like a little bit too dramatic. Let's throw another heavy film at somebody. And I'm going to go with The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. If you haven't seen this film, I won't spoil it. I highly recommend it. Um, in the heart of World War II, concentration camps, all this kind of stuff. You just kind of see the story of these two boys and kind of their parallel journeys. One's a Jewish boy, one's a German. Um, his father is a German soldier. And it's just kind of like their parallel story of their lives. And whew,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a heavy
Yeah.
one, but again, necessary to see that like these things are still happening.
Absolutely. And I think to what we're speaking of, there's been a lot of, rightfully so, movies about the Holocaust and Jewish persecution. And I think this kind of shows to an extent the other side of the coin. I mean, everything dominoes into our current events. The history dominoes into where we are in the world today. But I think it's very important that we also get a lot more stories of what's happening now out there. So yeah. Adrian, what would you recommend?
I had a hard time trying to come up with stuff. I kept like
You're like surf ninjas.
So explaining it to people, they were like, "Oh, it's like that Halle Berry movie, The Call." And I looked it up. Of course, I haven't seen it, but yes, it's a 911 call, and the girl's being kidnapped, and she's in the back of a trunk of a car.
It's kind of newer, right?
2017 or 13 or something,
yeah.
and she's just on the
I'd heard
phone
of
with
that.
her, trying to help her get out of the car and survive.
Mm.
But I kept thinking like, I don't know, like I haven't seen it. One, and yeah, it makes sense, but it just feels a little wrong to pump our American system with this movie. And then I thought Black Hawk Down, trying to get help, and there's no way help's getting to you, regardless of where, like, how far they are. They can't get to you. But again, pumping up our army and stuff, like our military and secret operations that may or may not be. Who knows who's the right party and what the actual intentions really are. So I really can't pair anything with this. It's just I couldn't do it. Everything I thought of that related to it, I found a way I could be like, it's a hypocrite. It's a shitty thing to do.
It's tough.
Don't pair anything with this. Just absorb it all and take it for what it is, and hope that there's something you can do to help in some way, that
I think that's fair,
whoever's
though.
God
I
is
think
going to put
that's
something
fair.
in your path for you to be able to contribute and help the situation.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Like, I was trying to think, what direction to go with. And obviously you could have gone with like Palestine 36 to kind of give like a historical context of where things are now. For me, I'm going with the movie that came out this year, a documentary I saw again at TIFF, Put Your Soul on Your Hand and Walk. This is a documentary where the filmmaker is essentially calling a Palestinian woman and getting on the ground updates of what is happening in Palestine. And I think the thing about this is that it's just so raw, because it's like she's calling, checking in on a family member. It's like, the holidays just passed, and it's like calling and FaceTiming your family and like, oh, how are things? What's happening now? Whatever. And I think it's very powerful because of how raw it is. And I think the challenge of it all is that you see the things we take for granted as Americans. She talks about wanting just a piece of chocolate, and there's no food coming because no aid is coming to her. And you hear bombs in the background as they're FaceTiming. The connection drops. It's all these things. And the main young woman, who was an aspiring photojournalist, is named Fatima Hasuna. Want to make sure we remember her name. And I think it's incredibly powerful in a different way, but unfortunately the same result. So Put Your Soul on Your Hand and Walk is what I would recommend if you want to, if you have the strength to continue to endure.
I think maybe the reason
events.
this movie was so like impactful is because of how recent it is. Like, I think it feels like it's still currently happening. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like it just
2 years ago.
This event
really
was legit 2 years ago, but it feels like there was a little girl yesterday, trapped in the same car.
And there was.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think it's still like too new to the sense that that's why it's just so impactful.
It's unjust across the board. Let's quickly draft some stock here. To your point, Erica, the performances across the board were incredibly strong. So, obviously these aren't filmmakers or actors we may be as familiar with, but they're definitely people I want to keep my eye on. And even on the back end with the crew, the cinematography, the editing was great. So let's see what we have as far as the order.
Adrian's gonna go number 1 again.
Here they go.
Erica, Erica.
Back with the voodoo. Drafting first. Yeah, there you go. Erica's drafting first. Back to the top after drafting last time. Drafting second.
Let me guess.
Is me.
Right, go.
Sorry, Adrian. I don't know what to tell you. You went first last time. You went first last time. Erica, who are you taking with the first pick?
I'm gonna take Saja Kalani. She
Love
is
that.
the gal who plays Rana. My God, like between her and is it Motaz? The guy who plays Omar.
Mm-hmm.
Between them two and kind of the emotions that they're going throughout each different call that they're getting each time they're talking to him, and every single time I just wind up more and more devastated, and they did their part very well. But I just felt the way that Saja was able to like be on the phone, try to contain her tears, try to still ask questions, try to still stay connected to this little girl. And I just thought she was brilliant. So I'd like to have her on my list.
Great pick. She was incredible the way she had to, she's Omar's supervisor, but ends up getting just as frustrated and just as upset and how long everything's taking. For me, I'm going to take I'm going to stay true to form and take the director, Katur Ben Hania. She actually has quite an extensive resume as far as the films that she's made, and they're all very historical, cultural, and relevant and important. So, after this film, I feel it's quite disrespectful to be like, oh, what's next? But whatever does come after this, I look forward to watching, and I hope that she's a name that becomes a household name. Adrian, who are you going to take?
So I'm torn between our two male guys, the one who plays Omar Motaz or Mahdi Amr. They both did really well, but I think what Amr, Mahdi's character, was asked to do was a little harder. That like composure, but still like losing it inside. The distraughtness, like in reality, he's the hero of the story, right?
Well,
like he's the one that's torn
too. Yeah, he's frustrated with the process too, and he's trying
right.
to,
he has that whole
like
moral
you said,
like dilemma, and I think with what he was asked to do, he did way more with than Omar. Frustration and anger is a little more easy to show. I think it's a little more universal than that responsibility, that he knows he has those paramedics' lives in his hands, as well as this little girl, and he's being split in different ways. That expressing that frustration and that torment, that turmoil was on point. And so I would go with Amr. I don't know how to say his last name. Hillel.
Lahel.
Wait. Oh yeah.
No, that's a great take. I think that's a great point, because for anyone that's ever been in like a position like that, and I don't even mean like an emergency response, obviously an emergency response, but like just you understand a system and you know you have to do things a certain way, and people that don't have that visibility push back on that, maybe justfully so, but you still have a level of composure, even though it's killing you inside. Like there's a point he's yelling at some other guy and he's like, you can't fucking take it. It's only been 24 hours. I haven't seen my family in fucking weeks. You know what I mean? Like, so that's a great point. He does a great job of kind of embodying that. And everyone looked, you know, granted the pictures were a little blur or not completely clear, but everyone that's cast looks just like the real people. you know?
They did a very good casting job for that.
So great job with casting, great job with filmmaking, great job with performances. The voice of Hind Rajab, incredibly important, incredibly powerful, incredibly moving. I hope everyone gets a chance to see that. With that being said, we have our awards. This is our last episode of the year. Thank you guys for joining on this journey, both at home and to Erica and Adrian. We've made it a year. 2025, as we kind of hinted at, has been a struggle for me personally. It's been both the best at times and the worst at times years I've had, and having you guys consistently join me on the pod and turn this into what it's become and what it continues to be. Hearts everywhere. I love you guys and appreciate it, and hope only for the best in 2026. In 2026, we will have our awards. So what's qualifying will be the main movie reviews that we've done. We have about 15 categories, and then each of us will have our own award that will be separate. Not separate, but different, unique to what we want to highlight. And it may be a movie that we didn't cover, as long as it came out from last year. So make sure to follow along as we kick off 2026. Follow us on all of our socials at Seeing This Pod. Send us an email at seeingthisemail@gmail.com. Visit our website, seeingthispod.com. Like, comment, subscribe. Be a part of our tribe. And until then, stay safe.
Peace.